Hey, Steve, how you doing? Okay. I, I guess you showed up. I guess CT showed up and decided before we got started that it was too early. Oh boy, uh, it we got a cold day here, so we're all. I've got to get all bundled up. Hey, Dom, how you doing, man? Good to see you, as always. Um, okay. What I wanted to get started on today was the hi Lisa. Good morning. By the way, too, let me check, is the audio and the video and everything okay? Everything working all right? Hi, Caesar. Jack. Hi, Jack. Good, thank you. Thanks, guys. Thanks, both of you. What I worry about, it's fine now. I what I look at my little thing going up and down for the connection, and earlier it was down for some reason. I have no idea why, and now it's back up again. So God knows what's going to happen with it. Hi, David. Anyway, I what I wanted to start off with is sort of a general approach that I use to find stuff, and then I also want to see if there's any special things that you guys have. Hi, Michael. And Velvia, man, good to see you. It's good afternoon. You must be elsewhere. Some people, it's good night. Hi, Brian. Anyway, I think that um, at one time, I should say, I'd start off and I'd go to Chrono 24. I'd go to eBay. That was sort of the first step. Now, if there's something that you may know, that might be a good first step, is to go there. Like if you know there's something on Chrono 24 and you want to check it out and you want to see what kind of interest in. But what I found out that works a lot better is to simply do a universal Google search for starting off with sort of some type of watch that you're looking for. Like I might be looking for a Roger Dubuis or a Daniel Roth or or something, any kind of watch. Paul Gerber, I've been looking at his stuff lately. I've always liked his stuff. Never got around to getting it. Hi, Big Sal. And so, anyway, so what I'm saying is sort of a universal search. Now, I found some funny things that happen. There's on a Google search, and you come up and you have images, you have this, and you have one of the things you can click is shopping. And sometimes shopping will limit the things to, I think, maybe somebody who's paid a premium for to have their watches out or whatever. But sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. One thing I found, and I don't know why, it sort of has opened up a lot more, is simply put in images. First of all, you say, for example, Roger Dubuis for sale, all right, or some very specific type, or a Daniel Roth Papillon, and you put that up there, and then you have all of these things from all of these other places. Now, some time ago, I talked about places like the Real Real and First Dibs and Fashionophile, and some of these places that are sort of more general luxury items. And they're now starting to take on watches. By the same token, another thing has happened by places that used to be all watches, like Joma Shop. Joma Shop, now you can find all kinds of things. I got a thing the other day that says fragrances. Oh boy, just what I wanted. Man, my wife may want it for me, but tell me. So anyway, these are some of the things. Now, there's finding and there's finding. That's something else. The other day, I ran into a place in Paris that I'd never heard of before. I forgot it was up on. I had it on our, I think, Black Friday bargains or something like that. But you have to be careful there. You look at it; it's consignment. Somebody is in Timbuktu. You don't know where they are, and so you're ultimately dealing directly with them, and that can be, I suppose, it's not that they're going to get paid, because I do think that these places they hang on to the whatever you paid before they and essentially they pay the people who wants the watches shipped. But it's something that sort of was a opportunity as well as something that not too sure about sometimes. So these are all of the kinds of things, but there's frauds out there, and there are other things. This is one of the things I think that um, the guy who called himself the timepiece gentleman, when that big scandal broke, one thing I'll say for the guy, he's got a great website. Most watch websites are, they got some dreamy picture of a watch going like this, and you're looking at it, and it goes at one, like at a snail's pace, they're turning it. You've seen that once, that's all it takes. And so you go back there, and then again, you got to go through the snail's pace. And some of these other ones, they have all of this stuff that when I used to be dealing with developing information on the web or anything else, we used to call a lot of this stuff dancing baloney, and basically are things that like those guys that they have at car salesmen at the wiggly balloon things. I don't know. Watch out for those. Let's see. I try to get the model number. Google. Yeah, that'll work. Sometimes if you have the model name, sometimes they'll advertise the model without the model number, but the reference number I think is a good idea. Hey, John, Nate, dog, how you doing? Goldfinger, good to see you. Yeah, the Versatile Collective, that's the one. That's the one I was thinking about, and it's sort of like, I always like to find a place that everybody hasn't found yet, and on the other hand, you gotta be careful. But going back to the timepiece gentleman, everything he had about it was, I guess it was more oriented toward very popular watches, like a Rolexes and those and so on and so forth. And I suppose there's some, if you're looking for a really good deal, you can find on a Rolex. The difficulty you have with that is that there's so much knowledge out there about it. On the other hand, if you ask, what are Daniel Roth Papillons going for? What's that? you know. Anyhow, hey Tao, how you doing, man? Listen, let me ask you guys something. What are some of the techniques that you use? You mentioned using the reference number, which is for something very specific, is a good idea. One of the other things I found is sort of like a daisy chain. You find a place and you find a watch, and then you find some link to those types of watches or that brand of watch. I don't know that I found stuff that way too, or you find things you're not looking for. That's another fun thing. You're looking for this, and I guess they try to, they say, well, maybe this guy likes these other things too. I don't know. Okay, what are some of the techniques you find? You find stuff that nobody else has found. Sometimes it's by accident too. In fact, I think a lot of times. That's another thing I wanted to talk about. What do you find? Anybody? Oh, I know something I wanted to mention. When a watch or something comes up that are staff selections or editor's choice, I'm always dubious of those. If I were running a shop and I wanted to unload something that wasn't selling, I'd bring it up as an editor's special. I don't know. Am I being too cynical? Auction alerts. Okay. Some watch shows are open to the public. I've never been, but it may be a good opportunity, I think. Yeah, Dominic, I think so. You know, that reminds me when I used to go to a lot of book shows, if you waited until right at the end of the show, the bookseller didn't want to take the books back with him, so he'd give a lot of them away. I'd go and, grab books. I think the same thing may be true with watches where they are selling them. I know that at one show that I will not mention, they had you could at near the end of the show, the seller was ready to he didn't want to lug all of these watches back and go through customs with all of them and everything else, and was more than willing to give you a generous discount. I almost got a certain watch there that I at a certain show at a certain watch company. They were saying, "Hey, Bill, you want this old boy?" Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Brian, what that goes back to, this is something else, is if you're doing it, is that the sort of what I call like a shark research. Sharks have to keep moving all the time. And so like as an avarice watch collector, I'm always looking. But the I'm always learning about stuff too. This becomes very important to have watches you're looking for that perhaps not everybody else is looking for. I found one the other day, and if you guys think that I tell you about all my hidey holes and all the watches, think again. I'm no fool. I'll tell you about them after I got my watch. But there's certain watches, and you're out looking for something, and the more information you have, like if you're going out, this is an example. It's almost ridiculous, but who knows? You're out looking around, and you find this thing, and somebody's selling it for, let's say, $2,000, and it's a Philippe Dufour Simplicity, and it was like somehow somebody got one, didn't realize the how valuable it was, and then sold it to like a pawn shop or some other place, one of these fashion places, and nobody there recognized it. Like, I don't know, maybe we can get a couple thousand for it. And there you are, because you're like the old shark looking, always moving around. That I think that's always a valuable thing, always scanning. Street shops in Hong Kong can be surprisingly good sometimes. Oh, that's good to know. Hey, pseudoscientists, researching a topic you love is easy. Good, excellent point. Perfect point. Try research topics that are so hard or disturbing they can keep you awake at night. Not as much fun. Nah, you wouldn't be awake if it wasn't fun. we got we have perverse senses of what ideas of what is fun. I think what's fun, my wife, how can you look at those things all the time? So, yeah. No, but I think that's a crucial and, when you're not doing anything and said, I think I'll look about this or find out about that. One of the things I've been working on is let me get this thing put away here. What One of the things I've been working on is doing, doing the pretentious watchmaking. And we got this big project going right now that I'm waiting for everybody else to get the parts for. But what I've been looking at are tricks for putting on secondhands. Putting it on the secondhands to me is the hardest part of watchmaking. And so that's something else. That's another thing I think. And there's some technique. I guess the big time watchmakers have a machine or something that goes in and puts it in. This one guy suggested get a microscope. He said that's a game changer. There's this guy who is like, I don't know. I think he said he's retired. He doesn't look very old. Of course, nobody looks very old to me. But the point is that finding out about those things, and then serendipitously, I hope I said that right, you might run into something else. And so I've been working away trying to get this second hand on so I can tell people how to get a second hand on. It's like, oh, it's easy. You just do this and the second hand is ready to go. Well, it's usually involves something. This latest technique involves cutting up an old milk carton. So that'll tell you where my head is. Okay, what are some other unlikely places that might have some really good things that you can think of or that you found watches at? Anybody have some good ones on that? There's always a crisis. We can wait for a crisis that happens. Hey, Rancher, how you doing? Find local scroungers and befriend them. Let them hit all the local estates and garage sales. Oh, wow, what a great idea. I don't know our local scroungers, but that is really a good idea. Hey, Raymond, try to find local dealers who specialize in strong horology pieces instead of what's hot. Great idea. How do you find those, Raymond? I found a local one with whom I bought and traded more than a dozen watches, like Parmigiani, VC, Vacheron Constantin, and H. Moser. How is Louis Etude coming along? I haven't heard anything for a long time. Well, I'll tell you how it's coming along. Everything's on time from what I had checked with our the guys who are doing the Guy Shea, and I'd ask about that and everything. Everything's on time. We're supposed to get Etude number 2 in first quarter of next year. I was looking at this. There's a video that one of our guys did, Hater, and my God, I'll tell you what he did. It had a bunch of close-ups and everything, and that's one thing about the watches. The close-ups really tell you a great deal about the quality of the materials because they're just incredible. Yeah, you weren't supposed to get me started on that. Let's see what else is going on. Same thing with local watchsmiths. Dominic, sometimes you may email a dealer that is known for similar watches and may not list everything you have. Oh, that's interesting, Dominic. I tell you, we have so few in our area. I think that the trying to think my watchmaker, my my he, he may have disappeared in more ways than one. He's I've got to find a new watchmaker, but that's really a good idea. There's this one guy I know, or one place I know I haven't been to yet, but would certainly be worth looking into. Oh, you located one on Chrono 24 and contacted and visited them locally. That's a good idea. I hadn't thought of that. If you go to Chrono 24 and you go through a number of steps, you can find out the name of the dealer. Chrono 24, I'm sure, gets burned on that. People go there um, and people, instead of going through Chrono 24, they go directly to the seller. And so Chrono 24 gets cut out of some of the profits I guess they make when they sell a watch. And that upsets them. They always, when I look at a watch and ask a question about it, I get this interview. Did you buy it? How come you didn't buy it? What's going on? Hey, Jack, my local watch gatherings often have collectors bring a few pieces to share with others to sell. They sometimes are as interested in the buyer being a good steward, so the price is good. Oh, wow, that's interesting, Jack. Could I ask you where that gathering takes place? I don't, you know, I don't know. There are a few guys in the area that I know who are collectors, but we don't. I don't think there are enough of us really to have such a meeting. Now, maybe I think there may be certain brands, popular brands, like there may be a Rolex group somewhere around here. I don't know, but that's a really interesting idea. Chroma Group. What planet is that loaded located on, Jack? You get that? I don't know where that is. Orange County. Ah, okay, that is another planet. I used to fly. They have an airport in Orange County called John Wayne Airport, and when I used to fly with this group called the Flying Samaritans, we take stuff down to Baja, and we had these clinics down there and stuff. We'd always fly in and out of Orange County and John Wayne Airport. It was a lot of fun. John, I go to let's see, I go to garage sales, antique shops, and flea markets. A friend of mine found a vintage Omega Seamaster for $5. That's another good idea. That's a really good idea. Raymond, I searched for great deals on C24 and pinpoint on their location. Okay, that's smart. Hey, Big Sal, at Wrist Eye Candy. Check in with local pawn shops from time to time. They end up with great pieces sometimes, mostly Rolex, but you never know. Big Sal, that's a good point. I went to a local pawn shop to take a look at the watches they had. They had such junk there. I never went back, and maybe that's my mistake. They may have something that, you know, I tell you, when you go into one that, put some straw in your hair and act like you just fell off the turnip truck. It's the so oh, this guy's got some bucks. I'm gonna up up this thing. Anyway, yeah, those are great ideas. There's something about pawn shop I just don't like, and it's nothing. Uh I trying to think. I was in one day for something. I don't know whether I don't know what I was buying. I don't think I ever sold anything to a pawn shop because you get what about a third of the value of it. But um, I don't know. The atmosphere was something sort of weird. The problem is that now with the internet, a lot of people are aware of what they have. So sneaking in a good deal is a lot harder. I think you're right, John. I think you're very right. Yeah, but here's the other thing too. Sometimes people really need money. Mostly watch collectors. What do they need money for? To buy another watch, usually, but they really need money. And so oftentimes, if you have like somebody selling a watch and they have a certain price and they're, that's a solid price. And say, well, this is what I can give you. What do you think? Oh, all right. So there are a lot of things going on. Local watch groups will often share their favorite fishing holes. Yeah. I tell you, you guys have a really good group in Oklahoma, Clyde. Boy, they're very active for get-togethers, and I don't know one either that or they have several around here. They just don't invite Bill, for all I know. But yeah, those are yeah, that's certainly those are good things. I suppose you could set up a sort of an online meeting where people are uh they just don't want to travel as much. One place that has just become hellish to travel in is Los Angeles. I don't know if that includes Orange County or not. Are the traffic in Orange County, things are not easy there either. But I wonder if um even the universities in the LA area are having more online things because people just don't want to get on the freeways and move around slowly. So these are some things that maybe we ought to set up. What if we set up an online swap meet? Everybody could come to it and say, this is what I got, this is what I'm selling today. Anybody interested? How's that? And then we could do it internationally, I guess. Also, California collectors and beyond have regular meetups. Got a Junhan's Miser for $600. Yeah, Jack. I tell you, when I used to live in California, lived in Southern California, I used to go up. There was a group I belonged to, the Publishers Marketing Association. They put me on the board of that because I'd found a way to use a laser printer to sort of save a lot of money in book publishing. And I'd go up to that. I'd fly up in my airplane, and it wasn't quite as bad, but just driving up was often a thrill. It's a great idea. There are pawn shops in my area that use local reseller to authenticate their pieces. It's another good idea. It's another good a source of it. No, I was hoping that somebody else would, Brian. I, you know, this is Brian. You'd be the guy to do it. I don't know. This is one of the things. Maybe. um, I don't know. There are all kinds of possibilities. As it is now, my wife is like, hey, they got me on sort of a short string. Frying pan time. Okay, right. It's 8:30. Well, listen, guys. We'll talk more about a similar topic this afternoon. And as usual, I'm going to go to Rancher and say, hey, what would be a good topic for this afternoon? So at 4 o'clock today, if I'm not here, I should be. But I hope to see. I'll put up a notice for 4 o'clock New York time. Last two best place for finding non-hype pieces is a good. Oh, Moda, yeah, that's a good piece. Most of the stuff on Moda, though, they got. It seems like 90% of those are Rolex. But Antonio, a good technique is to find a watch. Is what? Oh, my channel, yeah, uh, yeah. I think watch channels. They gotta. Let's talk about some ideas for this. This could be interesting. Anyway, meantime, take care, and I hope everyone who celebrates Thanksgiving had a good one and have a good for the rest of the day.